Please welcome Chairman and CEO, Nikesh Arora.
Welcome on behalf of Palo Alto Networks and all my colleagues. Welcome to Palo Alto Networks keynote. This is an opportunity for all of us to get together as security professionals, think about the world, think about where things will go from here, so we can all plan in terms of how to deliver secure capabilities to all of our customers. Today is no different. I somehow feel this is very different than the last 7 times we've been here. I think the pace of innovation that we're experiencing is faster than it's ever been before. Just think about what's happened in the last 1 year. We've gone from the days of ChatGPT to talking about OpenClaw and agents. We've gone to places where AI agents are hacking enterprises. They're being used. We've gone to days where LLMs are being used to classify capabilities. We've gone to the days where there is a meme that AI is going to eat software. And that's a very big shift. It's a very big shift that has happened in the last 12 months in our life. I spent 10 years at Google, and we used to be excited about the idea that Google search was democratizing information. The idea being that any farmer in India, anybody in the Philippines, anybody in Tokyo can all have access to the same information at the same time. Effectively, you're eliminating the information arbitrage. That's what you did by search becoming ubiquitous in the world. Everybody buy that? Yes. If you take that analogy and think about what AI is doing, my thesis is AI is democratizing intelligence. What do I mean by that? That means with the tools today, like ChatGPT or Gemini or Claude or other models that you might be using, almost everyone has access to the same intelligence in a box. Earlier, we had to rely on our own brains. Today, we can talk to Gemini, ChatGPT, or Claude, which has immense memory. It has the ability to process all the information in the world, and it keeps getting better over time, where it's getting smarter and smarter. It can all solve the same problems, which means we will all have access to the same amount of intelligence. It no longer matters what you learned in school, how long you learned it for, what do you retain. It's actually right there in a box waiting for you. If you believe that that future is upon us, then the question becomes, how do each of us harness that intelligence for our purposes? How do I take that normalized intelligence at Palo Alto Networks and leverage it for my purposes? How do you leverage that information, that intelligence in your business? So what you're beginning to see is the initial sparks of all enterprises beginning to use that normalized intelligence. Take example, vibe coding. What does that do? Effectively, slowly and steadily, AI is going to become capable of writing code end to end without the need of too much human intervention, right? Which means, effectively, AI has become an intelligent coder. Take that same logic, apply that, over time, AI will become a great product marketeer, as my friend Kelly knows. Or AI will become a great accountant over time. So what is happening is the same amount of intelligence that is required in a human is being delivered through AI. But it goes one step further. You don't have to worry about, if you have 100 people, you don't have the variation in the intelligence of 100 people. All 100 personas, I won't call them agents yet, all 100 personas now will have equal intelligence, which means the throughput, the quality, the output is going to exponentially increase. That's the future we're aspiring towards. So make no mistake, this conversation about OpenClaw agents is just a conversation. It's a precursor of what's coming in front. If you all believe that, then for a second, since we all get paid to think about the dark side as well, think about the dark side. Think about how those things could be taken over, how they can go rogue on us, how do we govern them, how do we control them. Think about a scenario when that happens, what it does to the exposure of organizations and the traditional attack surface of security. That's the future we have to prepare for. Now remember, because we all work in cybersecurity, our job is to anticipate technology, build the tools in anticipation of the deployment of that technology. Otherwise, you end up with situations where agents are going to hack you. You end up in a situation where OpenClaw goes rogue. I recently heard 2 days ago of an agent which was trying to do an agentic task. It got stopped by security policies. So far, so good. It rewrote the security policies and tried to republish them so it could get around them. Just think about that. That's the scenario us security professionals have to prepare for. So it is the new Wild West. It is a new world where this is where the future goes. In that scenario, what becomes important? Well, kind of what is important is what has been important in the past. What is important is every bit has to be inspected. Right? The first beginnings of security where we started inspecting every bit. Right? That's how firewalls were born, because we were inspecting every bit of network traffic in the enterprise. That's how software firewalls were born, because they're inspecting every bit going to the cloud. That's how SASE was born, inspecting every bit going from every remote user, every branch in the world. We still have to inspect the bits. Right? You cannot not inspect bits. The only difference is the future bits might come from humans or come from agents. Right? You still have to do the bit inspection, which means we still have to be in line. We still have to be the sensor of choice. But something else is going on. What else is going on? Security has this interesting paradox. If we know it's bad, we know how to stop it and fix it. That's never the problem. The problem is when you don't know what to do with it. The entire security industry is built on what if. When you're sure, it's blocked, it's stopped, right there, right there. All of security, look at every company that exists in the cybersecurity space. It exists because it's the fear of the unknown, what I don't know. And that's where all the analytics kick in, that's where all the prioritization kicks in, that's where all the remediation kicks in is, oh my God, I missed this at the sensor, I've got to trap it and fix it over here. That's what we do, right? Now, because of the fragmentation and complexity that we all have to deal with in cybersecurity, what happens is that process of collecting the problem, analyzing the problem, prioritizing the problem, fixing the problem takes time. It requires data from many different systems to be collated. It requires humans to interpret that data. It requires remediation plans to be built. It requires remediation to be applied, perhaps not just in security infrastructure, but also in associated technological infrastructure. The challenge we're going to run into is, if you believe the future that we live in a world of normalized intelligence, of AI being ubiquitous and agents being everywhere, that problem cannot be left to humans anymore. That becomes an agentic AI problem too. Because if you can't stop as fast as they can get at you, you create an imbalance. If agents can hack you and apply 1,000 agents to attack your infrastructure and analyze every piece of data, every vulnerability from the outside in, and get into your infrastructure, our job is to be able to analyze our own data, our own enterprise configuration, posture, et cetera, and be able to remediate at the same speed. So we're going to a world where not only do we have to build the capability of securing the agentic AI future, but also being able to take our enterprise and change the speed of remediation in the enterprise. What does that mean? Not only do you have to live in the sensor and stop the known bad, you also have to live in a place where you have tremendous amounts of data in the enterprise where you can analyze data on the fly and provide remediation instantly. In our opinion, that will require a lot of upgradation of cybersecurity infrastructure around the world. Many companies have gotten there, many companies are on their way there, but it will become non-negotiable in the next 12 to 18 months that you will not be able to solve a cybersecurity problem without making sure all the data for the enterprise is in one place and can be analyzed using machine learning and AI at the same time. However, there's good news if you're a cybersecurity professional. We don't think that AI is going to eat up cybersecurity as it might eat up other forms of analytical software. We do believe analytical parts of cybersecurity will be gone. You won't have to worry about CSPM, DSPM, AISPM. Posture management capability will become par for the course. You will need to understand the posture of enterprise before you can remediate it. So any software enterprise, a software piece of application that exists in the cybersecurity industry over time will get subsumed because finding the problem is no longer the fun part. Fixing the problem will become the focus. So if you come to Palo Alto, there's a big sign in my office and every of my product managers know it. If you find it, you better fix it. Until now, it was okay to find the problem and say, hey, dear customer, I prioritize all your vulnerabilities in one big database, and then you can decide what you want to do with it. That's not good enough. If you're so smart, you found it, you better fix it. So you will see the ethos today, you will hear from my team, we're focused on finding the problem and fixing the problems. You will see us talk about how we want to be the sensor of choice, and we want to be in a place where all the action is going to be. And in the future, what is going to be a sensor of choice? A sensor of choice will become agents and the inspection of agents. It'll be the endpoint again. because the endpoint is suddenly becoming more important. If you look at all the agentic browsers that are being created, all the open clouds of the world that are creating, the coworks that are being created, they're all being created to sit at the edge of your network and do agentic tasks inside. So you have to make sure you're present at the endpoint. You'll hear from Anand and from Lee about how the endpoint, again, becomes an important place where we literally have to think about advanced endpoint security, because the endpoint ceases to just be a client in the future. The endpoint actually becomes a server with vibe coding in place. So if you believe the endpoint becomes a server, the idea of protecting the endpoint is no longer as an endpoint as a client, is both the endpoint as a client and endpoint as a server. So that you'll hear about that from our team in terms of what products we're launching today that allow that future to be realized and for our customers to be able to deliver that securely. You'll also hear about all the strides we're making from trying to protect the agentic future. You'll hear about another product where I'm pretty sure there's nobody in the room who has not heard about agents already. And I've heard lots of solutions. I was in Miami last week with CyberSparks, a lot of cybersecurity startups which are being created that are going to solve this agentic security future. There's one small problem. The small problem is if you can't see it, you can't protect it. We're still trying to figure out how are you going to see all the agentic activity in enterprise. Every SaaS software is deploying agents. Every piece of IT infrastructure is going to deploy agents. Every application that you will build in the future will have agents. How can we protect that agentic enterprise if we don't have visibility into all the activities of the agent? You'll hear from our team the creation and launch of the first agentic gateway at scale. We'll be announcing our agentic gateway today. Because we believe you cannot do agent, if you don't do agent registration, if you don't build an agentic IDP with CyberArk as delivered, and you don't have an agentic gateway, you cannot protect the agentic future. That is all good and great. That being said, I think it's very important right now, if you're a customer, if you think of cybersecurity, yes, we have to think about AI discretely and distinctly right now because it's a new phenomena and it has its own parameters that we have to understand. So we have to build all the harnesses, all the capabilities to protect the AI future. But make sure, as we evolve, that AI security future is embedded with your enterprise security posture. Because we will not be running two different enterprises, the traditional enterprise with humans and the futuristic enterprise with agents. For the next foreseeable future, perhaps 2, 3, 5 years, I don't know, we should ask Sam Altman how long, but for the next 2, 3, 5 years, we're going to have them together. So you have to make sure all the tools and techniques that you're creating for AI will also apply as much to your enterprise. So it's important to partner with somebody who's actually building AI controls into their entire enterprise architecture from a security perspective. Otherwise, you'll end up in yet another thing we all love to do in cybersecurity, the constant fragmentation. Every time a new piece of technology comes, we go buy another 5 vendors, we stick them in there, and then we wonder why we have 50 vendors in cybersecurity. So part of what you're going to see today is how the team is actually delivering the capabilities required from AI agentic future, at the same time embedding them in some of the core capabilities we have at Palo Alto Networks, where you don't get different behavior if your data comes or your bits come from agents or come from humans.